And I think it's important that we keep you abreast about what some of the finer and minute details of the G20 is. In fact, I want to tell you about the G20 member states that will be participating in the summit this weekend. Let's take a look at what some of the interesting facts are that put together this unique and I think incredibly powerful multilateral body. It represents about 85% of the global GDP, 75% of the world's trade. I mean, China's in that group, right? And they lead global trade, importantly. And about 2/3 of the world's population. Again, China and India together cover about 3 billion people holistically. I mean, that's Central, South, and East Asia. For those who might not know, these are the 19 countries that make up the individual countries, rather, jurisdiction member states that make up the G20, plus the EU as a multilateral bloc in and of itself that makes it up as the 20th member, with the African Union now coming in as a similar type of member to the G20. Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and they're also touching down tomorrow, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, as well as the United Kingdom and the USA. And these are the engagements groups, and these are the groups that would have started some of the early meetings. More than 130 meetings had taken place across the span of the G20. And the engagement groups that we've been bringing you close coverage of here on the SABC includes Business 20. They concluded their summit today. That is the B20, the global business community part of the G20 engagement. Civil 20, Labour 20, Parliament 20, Science 20, SIA 20, Startup 20, Think 20, Urban 20, Women 20, and Youth 20. And all of these working groups had their own summits, their own meetings, and their respective working group Sherpas had, or in this instance, very specifically, they're called chairpersons, had to then produce a statement, and that statement then got sent to the head of state, to the Sherpa. In this instance, it is the Director General of DIRCO in South Africa, Zane Dangor, who then has to consolidate them all to prepare the Heads of State Summit document and declaration that comes out. The finance track being the one that we played a great deal of attention to, and that's one of the more important ones. The DNA of the G20 really finds itself in the heart of finance as well as global markets, which is the principle around which it was funded, to ask the question, how do we avoid another global economic meltdown? That was the first question it had to ask itself to prevent the next one from taking place. In fact, in that statement, we had interviewed a number of the working stream chairpersons that participated that, the Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion, international taxation issues, financial sector issues, sustainable finance. And that one was quite controversial because around sustainable finance, what that statement put out there very specifically was around ensuring that the Global South and African member states are able to access cheap financing and cheap debt. Thulasizwe Similane hosted an important conversation on the G20 Focus Show, which broadcast between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. Every Sunday for the last couple of months, on specifically sustainable finance. And the guests and interlocutors that Thulasizwe had there made it quite clear that the debt premium that African nation states receive as a result of this is incredibly too high. And the premium there is as a result of political risk, not a default risk, that African and the Global South, African nation states don't default any more than their European counterparts. So why should they have debt that is a lot more expensive? And that's what that sustainable finance part of the conversation was focused on. We will continue to bring you a lot of this coverage as the host broadcaster of the G20 throughout the summit.